Good morning. It is Monday, May the 10th. I'm Shane Seeley, and this is the CBC Morning Report. Leading our news this morning, we hear that the two schools at the center of the COVID-19 scare last week have been given the all clear by health officials. This after negative results were received for those tested. Health Minister Jeffrey Bostic provided an update about those situations last evening. Here's what he had to say.
I would have indicated that there was a primary contact and close contact of a positive case at the St. George Primary School. That contact would have had a negative test, first test, 5 to 6 days ago, and was awaiting the exit or screening test, which the result came back today, and that student is now negative, again, negative, and therefore cleared. And as a result of that, there is no requirement from a public health perspective to do any contact tracing within that particular school, because this particular student would have been in quarantine in a government quarantine hotel for the past 5 or 6 days, and when they were seroconverted, would have been at the hotel in quarantine and not at school, not in contact with any of the students at the St. George Primary School. So from a public health perspective, that school is cleared. The other student, which is from the Princess Margaret Secondary School, that was the positive case. The members of staff and students of the classes that we were targeting, they have all had negative tests today from their exit or screening tests, and they are also free and cleared to return to school. We will continue to provide any assistance to that school as well as needed, and if there are any persons for whatever reason who are desirous of having a test, we will facilitate that request.
Meanwhile, the Education Minister Santia Bradshaw has announced plans for the continuation of the phased return of students for face-to-face classes from this week. In the primary schools, Class 2 and reception students will be back from tomorrow, May the 11th. Those in Class 1, Infants A and Infants B, are scheduled to return on Thursday, May the 13th. However, Minister Bradshaw notes that some schools will have different arrangements.
At present, we have approximately 26 small primary schools, which as of today can take in all of their students on Tuesday the 11th. We also have 4 of our large schools, that would be George Lamin, Arthur Smith, Hilda Skene, and St. Stephen's Primary, which are also in a position to take in all of their students using a phased approach. And the reason for this is that we want to give the teachers and the students enough time to settle each of the year groups before bringing in another year group. I must say that there have been some very ambitious principals and certainly great leaders across these institutions who have tried their best to get these children back into the institution, because I feel all of us have recognized that many of the students are suffering at home, and that being in the face-to-face environment is obviously a preferable environment for most of these kids. At all other primary schools, we will use a blended approach for the students, which simply means some days will be online, some days will be face-to-face.
Now, with regards to the secondary schools, Minister Bradshaw says 16 of the 21 principals have requested that face-to-face sessions be limited to exam classes due to limited spaces at many compounds. Also, to allow those candidates to complete the respective modules. However, some secondary schools with smaller populations will be accepting more students from this week.
2 of our secondary schools, Darrell Jordan and Grantley Adams, have a smaller number of students, writing examinations, and they can therefore accommodate students from this Tuesday as well. Our second form and lower fifth forms at Darrell Jordan, and the first and the second form students will also be returning to the plant from Tuesday. Principals will inform the other forms when they will be allowed to return to the school plant. With respect to Form 4 students who are writing the CXC Maths examination at Queen's College, Christchurch Foundation School, and the Lodge School, Those will be advised of their days to attend face-to-face this week by their principals.
We have the most recent details on the outbreak at the Psychiatric Hospital and other COVID-19 updates after this break. The Minister of Health, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostick, is providing an update on the most recent outbreak of COVID-19 at the Psychiatric Hospital. Mr. Bostick says while contact tracing efforts are still underway, the internal aspect of the cluster has been contained.
We are still pursuing some of the contact tracing for those persons who would have been discharged within the last 2 or 3 weeks. We've done a lot of testing, but there's still 1 or 2 persons that we're seeking out, but we are feeling fairly good within ourselves that that situation is under control, but it is not yet a closed case. We are still going to be pursuing some other contacts.
The Health Minister also provided the most recent COVID-19 statistics for the island. He indicated that Barbados has recorded 9 new positive cases from 504 results returned, and this is from 757 tests conducted on Saturday. 5 people also recovered, while 109 people remain in isolation. Impromptu street celebrations erupted across Spain over the weekend when a 6-month-long national state of emergency to contain the spread of COVID-19 ended and many nighttime curfews were lifted.
Partying into the night, celebrating new freedoms. Crowds gathered on the streets of Spanish cities in the early hours of Sunday as the national state of emergency ended.
It's really very moving. I keep thinking, wow, how great to finally be able to connect, to sing, to have a good time, to say hi. It's an important moment.
Here in Barcelona, police had the strange task of moving people on after the last curfew began at 10 p.m, only to let them back after midnight. Infection rates have fallen and vaccinations are speeding up. Now all except 4 of Spain's regions have scrapped local curfews. Bans on travel between regions are also being lifted. At Madrid's main train station, some were setting off to see family, others waiting for loved ones to arrive. This woman says, we have a family event, a communion, and it just happened to be the day the state of emergency ended. We've not seen each other for 8 months. Asked how it feels, she says, very emotional. In Italy, 4 regions are having their COVID-19 risk level downgraded from Monday. Most of the country's now classed as yellow, the lowest under the 4-tier system. Now the government's stressing the importance of the European Union's planned Green Pass. It would allow travel within the bloc for people with proven immunity, full vaccinations or a negative coronavirus test. And across the EU, vaccination programmes have been accelerating.
We have now delivered over 200 million doses to the European people. So we are on track to achieve our objective of enough doses being delivered in July to vaccinate 70% of the European adult population.
The Commission's confirmed it's not renewing its order for AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine beyond June. It's already launched legal action against the manufacturer, accusing it of not having a reliable plan to ensure timely deliveries. But it has now signed a new contract with Pfizer-BioNTech to receive 1.8 billion vaccine doses by the end of 2023.
Now, in stark contrast, India recorded more than 4,000 coronavirus deaths in a day for the first time, as more states there imposed lockdowns in a desperate bid to halt the devastating new surge of COVID-19.
Mass cremations like this are becoming common in India. These family members have been waiting for hours to say their final goodbyes to their loved ones.
He was my relative and his name was Vijay Kumar Jaipal. He had COVID-19 for last 10 days and was admitted to a private hospital. Last evening he got a bed in civil hospital here. He was 35 years old and has 2 young children, and he passed away this morning. His wife is 30 years old. May no one face such a tragedy ever.
Accelerator.
Many experts believe new strains of the virus are behind India's steep rise in infections and are worried about their potential impact on vaccines.
One that was first identified in India, the B1617, is likely to be a variant of concern because it has some mutations which increase transmission and which also potentially could make them resistant to antibodies that are generated by vaccination or by natural infection.
Some states are imposing restrictions and curfews to arrest the spread of the virus. But many people believe anything short of a national lockdown is inadequate.
The situation is really bad. The problem is that the lockdown is not strict enough. If the lockdown was stricter, we probably would have been able to break the chain, which we're not able to do right now. Maharashtra was able to break the chain after a month of lockdown.
People are scrambling to get appointments to be vaccinated, as states report doses are in short supply. The government in New Delhi has asked the central government for more vaccines, saying it will run out of doses in the next 4 to 5 days. And although cases are falling here, the state has extended its lockdown by another week.
Time now to check in with Pearson to hear how we are starting a new week here with you on Morning Barbados. Pearson?
Thank you, Shane. When everyone joins us here in about 17 minutes, we'll be taking a look at the topic Growing Trees for Shelter, the performance praxis of a Brathwaitean paradigm. What is that? I'm sure you're curious about it, so are we. And so we'll be asking the person who'll be delivering the 7th Kamal Brathwaite lecture a little bit more about that. We'll also this morning get a chance to meet the lady behind the book, Birth of an Underwater Child, Transforming Fatherless Daughters into Virtuous Women. She'll talk to us a little bit about her book and her life story as well, what's inspired her to write that book. And when Ambassador Commichon joins us for a conversation on CARICOM, we'll be taking a very in-depth look at Haiti and its political unrest and the ways out as determined by CARICOM. That and a whole lot more when you join me on Morning Barbados. Back to you, Shane.
Thank you, Pearson. And when we come back after the break, we'll hear the new call from nurses as they get their celebrations for Nurses Week here in Barbados underway. There's a call this morning for the Ministry of Health to create positions, and more of them, for specialist nurses where they are needed most. It comes as the fraternity celebrates Nurses Week under the theme, A Voice to Lead, a Vision for Future Healthcare. Now, the president of the Barbados Nurses Association, Valerie Francis Miller, she wants the ministry to open up the register, and we are getting some more clarity on the issue as she joins us live right here on the Morning Report. Good morning to you. Hope you're well, and happy Nurses Week.
Thank you.
Talk to us about this opening up of the register and the call for more positions for specialist nurses. What does the BNA want to see?
To put it into context, nurses has demonstrated that our profession is necessary in shaping healthcare. The COVID-19 pandemic caused a call for action where we as nurses were called upon to manage institutions and purpose-built facilities to serve the Barbadian community for maintaining our country's healthcare. Nurses became the backbone for healthcare. We saw nursing educators, nursing administrators, nursing managers, nursing immunizers, nursing infectious control officers, and many more nursing typologies in action. The nurse practitioner is an essential solution to improve care for our Barbadian population. A nurse practitioner provides exemplary care with a focus on disease prevention, mental health and wellness, and patient education. And some nurses already practice in the advanced role. It is time that the register for the nurse practitioner, specialist nurse, be open. Today, we nurses function as competent practitioners, managing and improving overall patient care outcomes. Therefore, we are asking the government, the Ministry of Health and Wellness policymakers to open up the nurses register for the specialist nurse and also for the nurse practitioner.
How would this change the health care system and, by extension, the patients you serve and the nurses?
It would not change, but it would improve, because then we will have more autonomy to function and be more patient-centered and move into an era whereas the future of healthcare all around the world is going, whereas the nurse practitioner has that autonomy. Nurses have that autonomy as a specialist nurse to perform her duties.
Okay. The theme this year, A Voice to Lead, a Vision for Future Healthcare. What does that mean to the Barbados Nurses Association, as you've seen so many of your brothers and sisters, mostly sisters really, leading the charge in this fight against COVID-19?
The significance of our celebration is centered around Florence Nightingale's legacy, which spanned over 200 years. Her interest and work in public health, medical advancement, hygiene, epidemiology, statistics, and even military health are quite noteworthy. She was truly a visionary and a nurse thinking about ways beyond her time, making strides both intersectoral and interdisciplinary, and modernization, and with a canny ability to take the nursing profession onto the global stage. We continue to see nurses trying to emulate her, and some succeeded in following in her footsteps. If she was alive at this juncture of healthcare, she would be very proud of nursing and nurses of this era. Hence, we celebrate International Nurses Week.
Okay, so talking about those celebrations, what are some of the events on the card for this week?
In our upcoming week of celebrations, we are seeking to show how nursing will look in the future, as well as how the nursing profession will transform the next stage of healthcare. Through the week, we will have education and training. The Education and Training Committee of our association has planned a very exciting educational program which starts nightly tonight at 6 p.m. with topics such as what is the scope of the advanced practice nurse, holistic wellness in these COVID-19 times, then looking out for our big panel discussion on Tuesday, which is the 11th of May at 7 p.m. on the topic where we come from and where we are going with the nursing profession in Barbados. Discussions will be centered around the innovation in nursing, and to bring the week to an end or to a close will be fun and games building on existing knowledge of nursing history. These sessions will be to benefit all. Shane, you too can log on.
Wonderful. Before you go, I was wondering about the trend for vaccination of nurses. I remember initially we heard that there may have been some hesitation by nurses to get vaccinated. Has this changed, or was that even the case?
I would say that we are pleased about the vaccination drive, and right now government is focused on persons receiving their second dose, and nurses are in the lineup for their second dose, and this is to achieve nurses to achieve our frontline nurses and our frontline workers to be fully vaccinated. So yes, we are in the lineup too as well for the vaccine.
Well, we want you to have a great Nurses Week 2021 and all the best with all of the events. We'll definitely keep in touch, and we know that your team will be back on Mornin Barbados as well.
Thank you.
A pleasure to have you on. Valerie Francis Miller, she's the president of the Barbados Nurses Association. In other news this morning, a search resumes for a young man who went missing at sea. He got into difficulties in the water at Brighton Beach, St. Michael last evening in the area known as the Hot Pot. Police say around 4:15 p.m. a group of 5 young men went to the beach, and 2 of them were in the water swimming when one of them got into difficulties. Reports are that 21-year-old Javon Andre Jelani Moyes went under the water, and efforts by his friend to assist him were unsuccessful. He disappeared and never resurfaced. Ambulance personnel was summoned to assist the friend, who complained of feeling unwell, having taken in a lot of water. He was treated at the scene and discharged by paramedics there. Members of the Police Marine Unit, the Coast Guard and other sea bathers conducted a search of the area, but it was later postponed due to poor lighting. Despite a slowdown in donations to the Adopt a Family program, the special advisor to the Prime Minister on Poverty, Corey Lane, says assistance is still trickling in. The initiative is part of the national response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The government launched this program to assist the most vulnerable families in Barbados. Appearing on a CBC TV8 program, The Link Up, Mr. Lane revealed another appeal will be made.
We got about $4 million so far that would have been invested by Barbadians, companies here and abroad. And we want to ask those who can still assist the most vulnerable among us to continue to do so. So that's part of the plan. The other major plan is that one of the things we recognize is that we cannot separate a society from the economy. And when I look at government's economic plans, I believe that that is the most surefire way to actually get us out of this rut. I see that they have a number of capital projects on the cards, and they've assured us in the household mitigation unit and working with poverty that they're going to try to get them off the ground.
Disturbing story here coming out of Trinidad. Investigations are continuing into a shootout which occurred on Saturday between police and gunmen reportedly attending what was called a Zesser party. 2 constables responding to a report of a disturbance in Laventille found between 20 to 30 people and loud music on arrival. Officers said when they stepped out of their patrol car and walked towards the group, someone began firing. The officers returned fire and called for backup. The police say they were met by more gunfire from other suspects and were pinned down at the location for some time. Officers only managed to hold one suspect while the others fled the scene. The Guyana government has announced a $130 million upgrade program for its public markets. The Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Nigel Delmoral, says the rehabilitative work is part of a broader plan to improve the conditions of markets across the country and to encourage business. With the spruce up, the facilities can be used to their full potential to increase profitability. Funds have already been set aside for this project. In sports, Barbados' Formula 3 car race driver Zane Maloney has dropped 2 places to 9th in the driver's standings after this weekend's round 2 of the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Maloney, who had a podium finish 2 weekends ago in Italy, was not as fortunate in Spain, as in both races he finished in 9th position. Yesterday he was timed at 32 minutes, 26.955 seconds, which earned him 4 points as he moved to 19 points. Here's a look at the final stages of that race won by Switzerland's Gregory Sossi. And you can follow Zane's progress in round 3 of the championship as it moves to Monaco on May 23rd. Time now for a look at the weather. On the outside, it's 27 degrees Celsius. We had some early morning showers, some heavy downpours really, but things have cleared up a bit. It's partly cloudy and windy right now. It's feeling more like 29 degrees Celsius as the relative humidity stands at 74%. The barometric pressure, 1060 millibars, is where it's at right now. And those winds are coming out of the east pretty brisk at 35 kilometers per hour. You got a low tide this morning at 10 minutes after 9. A high tide will come our way at 25 minutes to 4 in the afternoon. Those seas are calm to moderate in open water, swells peaking around 2 meters right now and holding steady. Here in Barbados today we'll get a mix of sunshine and clouds with a few brief scattered light showers mainly during the morning. And tonight it will be partly cloudy with a few brief isolated showers. Today in the Lesser Antilles it will be partly cloudy as well to occasionally cloudy with a few brief light showers. And tonight it will be fair to partly cloudy with a few brief scattered light showers. Internationally, it is warming up. Up to 16 in London and Frankfurt. In New York, the sun is out. You're getting up to 21 there. And similar picture in Montreal, Boston, and Toronto. In Miami, it's hot, getting up to 30 degrees Celsius there. And that's it for this edition of the Morning Report. I'm Shane Seeley. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday, the 10th of May, 2021. I'm Pearson Bowen. So glad you could join us. For those of you on our Facebook stream, CBC Barbados, good morning. And for those of you choosing to watch us via our YouTube channel as well, Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, great having your company. Welcome to a brand new week and a brand new day. Before the day is done, we'll take a look at some of those common herbal teas you can get from your own garden. Chantal Selman will come by to share with us some of the things that we probably walk on and that we didn't realize were so delicious and so good for the body. Those things we'll find in our garden, common teas. We'll also today be meeting with Raphael Saul, who is a motivational speaker. We get to meet the man behind all that he tells. And Brittany Seeley is back from Work Consultancy Inc. She'll share with us some great tips for job hunting, all that and a whole lot more. But let's get started today by looking at the upcoming 7th Kamal Brathwaite lecture. We're glad to be joined this morning by the lady who will be presenting that lecture, a master theatre artist. Good morning to you, Sonia Williams. How are you?
Good morning, Pearson. It's so good to see you on a bright, beautiful Monday morning.
Oh, the way you said it alone made it even brighter and far more beautiful indeed. Thank you for that. I love your topic. Your topic is so interesting. Growing trees for shelter, the performance praxis of a Brathwaitian paradigm. Now, that's a lot to unpack. Let's talk. I want to start with describing for me what you see to be a Brathwaitian paradigm. What is that?
Well, Brathwaite was first and foremost a historian in his studies of the Caribbean. And when I read his work, especially Contradictory Omens, his theory, not his poetry, which speaks to integration and diversity in the Caribbean, and his History of the Voice, which speaks to nation language, something happened for me in how I thought about history. Something was affirmed. That we often think of the enslaved people as powerless, that they were the master class and the colonial economic structure stamped on our heads, and we had no power. But when I read that book and he talked about the Creole theory, which is the idea that even as there are two kinds of processes that happened on the plantation, and one was the process where, yes, one culture absorbed another, suppressed it, would not let it live. But then there was a process where one culture was intermixing with another. Because when the Africans came here, even though they worked from dawn to dusk and, they couldn't practice all of their ways of being. Their ways of being was in their language, was in their body, was in their thoughts. And you can't take my thoughts. I mean, I'm sure there's scientific ways that people might try to do that today and make you forget yourself, and make you forget. But as long as I'm able to think, I can remember. I have memory.
Yes.
And what the Africans were doing were influencing every aspect of the colonial master and his family and their life, because they were cooking for them. So they were the colonial master was eating pepper pot.
That's right.
African food, right? They were the mothers were breastfeeding, black mammies breastfeeding the white children.
Yes.
What we call white and black, They
were the wet nurse. Yes.
Yeah. They were speaking with us. They were around us. There's a lovely quote I will share tonight that shows, and we have it today, the evidence of the descendants of the master class who speak pure Bajan. And the other people from the indentured servants who speak raw, old, traditional Bajan.
Yes.
But it's passed on. And so we were affecting language and everything about the culture. And that in and of itself is a power. We were building the buildings, all of that. Go ahead.
Kamal was very big on the African voice and the African influence in who we are as a region. But I want to now look at growing trees for shelter and how that tied in with that connection with Kamal Brathwaite and the African culture and us as a people.
Okay, big question. Growing trees for shelter was something Kamal said to me when he saw Odale's choice. And he said, you need to grow trees for shelter, you know, so all of Barbados, all of the Caribbean can be under your trees, you know what I mean? And he said, you do a lot of things, a lot of different spaces, you know, and I thought about that. And when I was asked to do the lecture, and I decided to unpack it.
Yes.
To go through a practice to, and go through my practice with it and see what would come out of that, especially in this time of the pandemic, when we are in isolation, and our spirits are sometimes in fear of death and in fear of I can't breathe, you know, this whole culture of where we're living in now. You know, trees, we need to grow trees for food. We need to grow trees for air with also what is happening in our earth and global warming and all that. And trees represent so much in terms of their roots, what they go back to and what they do underneath there.
Yes.
And Kamal said in one of his pieces that the unity is submarine. It's what happens underground. And I'll talk about that in many ways tonight. But, you know, so when you think about it, we need to replace cane with trees. Because what is cane after all except shrub and grass?
So interesting.
With something substantial.
I love the submarine concept because a lot of what we see above ground is the stature of the tree. But what's happening beneath ground is what's so critical. And for a lot of the African history, a lot of what happened in terms of movement towards, you know, the repatriation and so on, that happened underground. And so I love the whole idea of growing trees for shelter, you know, and the confusion it would have caused, no doubt, our colonial masters.
Yes, yes. And as it connects back to Africa, it goes back to our roots, to what we can take from our African experience, which, like a tree, you know, we can think of our individual selves as tree as well. And how we shelter our own spirit, we shelter our wholeness. Because in this world, we are fragmented, you know. We go to work, they want a certain element of us. We deal with our children, it's another element of us. We deal with the bills and the money, it's another element of us. You know, we're torn apart into sections. We go to church on Sundays. You know, some have prayer meeting, but then that's a time for prayer. And then our spirituality is separate from the rest of the week.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And so there are ways in which we need to become whole in ourselves, to become each other's keeper and to create a community so we can become like a force in ourselves. And so that my practice that I do in theater arts connects back to the working on the individual as an agent for change in their own lives and the lives around them and the community they live in, you know. And so my practice then connects back to how we become shelter for each other and in these times as well. And how Kamal has
go ahead. And how Kamal, go ahead.
How Kamal has been an example of that in his work, in his ideology, you know, etc.
This sounds as if it's going to be such a fascinating lecture. Honestly, there's so much literally to unpack. You kept saying tonight, but isn't it tomorrow night, Tuesday?
Tomorrow night. But let me tell you, days and night run into one. I must say that in this process, Black Clay Soil, Verna Congo's daughter, Monica, I invited her on this process with me. Because I felt like this is praxis. This is not something I just want to write. This is something I want to become a medium for.
Nice.
And so, to be quite honest, she came over to my house for 4 days. I'd gather all my material, all my quotes, everything, and the substance of what I wanted to say. And then me and her intuit for 4 days. We meditated on this for 4 days, played drums, sang, you know. So the lecture is going to have praxis in it, some element of performance. And out of that, knowledge was produced, and which is the important part of praxis, is that you go in with an impulse to know something, an impulse to express something, and you realize that what you wanted to say has so many layers, and there's so many relationships in a communal sense within ourselves, to the people around us, to the world, that we work out when we say things, to choose the right word, the right action for our audience. And so we went through that process for 4 days. She just left. You hear my voice. You hear me. So we've been going through the night, etc. And we're going to reconnect and do our setups today at the university. We're very thankful to the university, the department, the new department there, which is the Department of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts.
Yes.
Culture and Creative and Performing Arts. This is a wonderful space that has just been born in the last year. It's going probably in its second year now. Out of the Herbal Center for the Creative Imagination and the Cultural Studies Department. There was a union.
Nice.
And this is a very important union because this connects theory with practice. The same practice I'm talking about. Indeed. Because cultural study has a otus, there's a demand that cultural studies be connected to its own culture and do the kind of research here that would make a difference in our lives, because culture is a space of resistance. It's a space of saying I am. It's a space of regeneration and growth. It's a space that we quite very much take for granted and do not understand. And I say we in so many ways, and there's so much that we can do in every single community.
This is Sonia.
The
time gets away from us so very quickly, but we want to encourage everyone to join you tomorrow. It's going to be on Facebook. Look for UETV on Facebook. It's going to be streamed live there, and you can watch as Sonia Williams, master theatre artist, really expounds further on growing trees for shelter, the performance practice of a Brathwaitean paradigm. The words alone just intrigue you sufficiently to want to be a part of it. You know, so I really want to encourage everyone to join in this, the 7th Kamal Brathwaite lecture. Again, it's on Facebook streaming live. Just go to facebook.com UETV and you will be a part of it. What time does it start tomorrow?
7
o'clock. All right, so let's be in the place early.
And I want to thank you, Pearson,
You're
and
welcome.
Good Morning Barbados and CBC for having me this morning.
You are more than welcome. Thank you so much for joining us as well.
Okay, thank you.
Morning Barbados continues right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Haiti's founding in 1804 was a defining moment in world history. What began as a slave revolt against the French in 1791 led to the creation of the first post-colonial Black Republic, ruled by Jean-Jacques Dessalines. That history hangs heavy over modern Haiti. For many here, it defines their place in the world and their relationship with their big, rich neighbor up north.
c'est politique américaine non. Non qui a un problème avec Haïti. Première République noire. C'est politique américaine non qui a un problème avec Haïti. Jovenel Moïse au pouvoir sous contrôle direction impérialiste américain. Il a attaqué qui sur nous, il a attaqué les vaudous, il a attaqué donc esprit ancêtres nous et il a craché sous mémoire Jean-Jacques Dessalines.
The U.S. annexed Haiti in 1868 and occupied it in 1915 for 2 decades. More than a century later, it still plays a powerful role in the country's politics.
If you had a message for President Biden, what do you think he can do right now for Haiti?
Pas une question de Joe Biden. Si je fais un message à Joe Biden, c'est comme si je surpassé Joe Biden sur Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Pas une question ça. Joe Biden a mené une politique américaine jusqu'à présent. Joe Biden, démocrate. Donald Trump, républicain. Mais qui différence politique qui gagne en réalité? Même politique qui a supporté Jovenel.
Jovenel Moïse was elected in 2016, promising to end Haiti's cycle of violence and corruption. But things have only gotten worse. Murders are on the rise. Kidnappings surged by 200% last year, forcing many schools to close. Civil rights groups say many of the gangs responsible have links to Moïse's government. The president denies this. Security forces and unidentified gunmen have been using deadly force to halt demonstrations.
So protesters were pushed back from the outskirts of the city. They've now descended back towards the presidential palace. Police have lined up and they're firing tear gas at the protesters scattered along this park right here. Everyone's trying to take cover.
That clearly paints the picture of what's happening in Haiti today, and we're joined right now by His Excellency David Commichon, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, as we, as promised, have a look at Haiti. Ambassador, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. You know, David rather wrote and sang, Haiti, I'm sorry. And when you look at the story of Haiti, particularly in video, and you hear the voices of the people, I think as a human being, you just want to say the same thing, I'm sorry. So let's look at that now, the conditions in Haiti, clearly from CARICOM's perspective. Paint that picture once again for us.
And yes, I just heard your interview with Sonia Williams, and let's recall that Kamal Brathwaite wrote a very important poetic story on Haiti called Dream Haiti back in 1995, just 2 years before Haiti was admitted into CARICOM in 1997. No, the story of Haiti is a story of triumph and victory, but also a story of tragedy. The only country to have a successful slave revolution, to destroy slavery, to take their independence in 1804. You know, making a great achievement for all Black people, because it was the Blacks of Haiti that started the process really of dismantling that system of enslavement that all of us, we in Barbados and Jamaica and all across the Caribbean, ultimately benefited from. But because they were the first and the most successful, and therefore were in the eyes of the slave-holding powers of the day, a bad example, they could not be allowed to succeed. And so all of the slave-holding powers of the day, back in the 19th century, Britain, France, United States, all of them really conspired to ensure that that new Black Republic of Haiti would not be a success story. So, you know, they blockaded Haiti. The French demanded a payment of 150 million gold francs if they were to recognize Haiti's independence and promise not to reinvade Haiti. And basically they set out to destroy Haiti. And so for the over 200 years of Haitian independence, that has been the story of Haiti. Everything has been done to keep this country down. And, you know, that is the result. What we see now, what you showed in those pictures is the result of that period of history. And right now, the country is in a crisis situation. There is a political crisis, a constitutional crisis. President Moïse came to power in, the elections were supposed to be in 2015. There were elections. The presidential elections were held, but they were aborted. There were allegations of corruption and fraud, and so they had to be held over. He won the new election in 2016, very low turnout, 22% of the electorate voted. He got about just over 50% of those votes. And so he began his term in 2017 under a cloud, you know, his position being challenged, the opposition forces saying that he was not a legitimate president. And so from 2017 to now, there have been all of these challenges to his rule, and there have been allegations of corruption. So people, you know, opposition forces, civil society forces have been holding demonstrations, and the country has been in a kind of paralysis for the last 4 years. In 2020, the terms of office of the members of parliament and the local government, those came to an end. And somehow, new elections were not held, and President Moïse started ruling the country by decree, presidential decree, minus a parliament since January of 2020. And then there's a dispute since February of this year. Most the opposition people and a lot of the civil society people say under the law of Haiti, that President Moïse's term has ended and that he's no longer president. He says his term goes on for another year, up to February next year. And it all has to do with the fact that the initial election, presidential election in 2015 was aborted and had to be held over in 2016. Now, the way the law reads in Haiti is that it doesn't matter when your election is held, that your term begins in accordance with what the Constitution says. So one interpretation is that it doesn't matter that those elections were aborted and he actually took office a year late. Under the law, his term actually starts from when it was constitutionally due. So there's two interpretations of what the law says. And so this is a big part of the impasse because the opposition forces, they don't want to even talk with him, negotiate with him, because they say he is no longer the president. And then on top of that, you have the security situation. You have these armed gangs, many gangs with all kinds of high-powered weapons. You have this spate of kidnappings. And so it is really a very, very dangerous and untenable situation. And in February at the CARICOM Heads of Government Conference, our leaders recognized how dangerous the situation is. So they established an expert group to examine the conditions in Haiti, to make a report to our heads of government so they could have a better understanding of what we are dealing with and to see what role CARICOM can play to help avoid this crisis. Well, it's already a crisis, but to help avoid the tragedy that is looming. So I'm a member of that four-person expert group. Over the past several weeks, we have been doing our work. We have been interviewing all kinds of persons from Haiti, all kinds of representatives of the society, and we have just about finished our report. We are just about to hand it in to our heads of government, and it is my hope that once they get that report, that we will see a CARICOM initiative to offer our good offices, to bring the parties to a table, a negotiating table, to craft a way forward for the 11 million people of this CARICOM member state.
We heard the voices of the people just a moment ago saying U.S. policy, it has been interfering with just their ability to exist. Is that part of what you're hearing too in your review group on what's been happening in Haiti?
Yes, well, there is an entity in Haiti called the Core Group. The Core Group, and these are the outside forces that have an overweening influence over everything that happens in Haiti. So who is this core group? This core group consists of the United States government, the Canadian, French government, the Organization of American States, the European Union, the United Nations, Spain, and Germany. All of these entities, they have a physical presence in Haiti, and they come together as something called the core group, and they exercise a lot of influence. Now, of course, the most powerful among them in terms of exercising influence is the government of the United States of America. We must remember the United States invaded Haiti in 1915, occupied that country for 19 years, and up to 1934, and has never really left. Has never really left. So what has happened is that a great majority of the people, the opposition forces, a lot of the civil society forces, have lost respect for the members of the core group. They believe that the members of the core group are all are not impartial. They're not neutral. They believe that they're all in the corner of the president. And so, and this is why the role of CARICOM is so important, because as we have been speaking to representatives of Haitian society, what we have been hearing again and again is, look, the only outside multilateral institution that we have some faith in is CARICOM. CARICOM is the only one that seems to us to be impartial. CARICOM is the only one that seems to us that when there were massacres in Haiti, issued statements, standing up for human rights or condemning the abuse of human rights. And CARICOM is the only one that does not seem to be lined up behind the president. So I think this really opens a window of opportunity for CARICOM to step in, because it seems as if we are the ones offering our good offices, we have good offices to government, opposition, civil society, to say, look, ladies and gentlemen, this country is heading to disaster. We all need to sit down, we need to discuss, and we need to come to some solution. But it seems if members of the core group offer those good offices, there are a lot of people in Haiti that will be suspicious of that offer. And
Understood. Ambassador, again, time is against us, but very quickly, just tell me very quickly, when can we expect to hear what's coming out of those recommendations?
Well, it would not be right for me to speak, in any specificity before they go to the heads of government.
Yes.
So the heads of government need to read them first. Once that is done, hopefully I'll be at liberty to speak more openly about what we have recommended. But basically, the bottom line is that CARICOM needs to step forward. Haiti is our member state. Not the United States member state,
right.
The CARICOM's member state. We have a responsibility for the 11 million citizens of Haiti. So we really need to step forward and offer our good offices and play a bigger role in helping to start this looming crisis.
Got to leave it there. Thank you so much, Ambassador. Ambassador David Comachon, our conversations on Haiti continuing. All right, let's take a look at our good decision of today, brought to you by Glucerna with those nutrients to support your immune system. Take note of your overconfidence. Overconfidence can easily make your judgment go awry. Studies show people tend to overestimate their performance as well as the accuracy of their knowledge. Take time every day to estimate the likelihood that you will be successful. Then, at the end of the day, review your estimates. Were you as accurate as you thought? If the answer is no, then adjust your thinking and your behavior accordingly. That's our good decision of the day, brought to you by Glucerna, nutrients to support your immune system. A break and then the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Once again now, here's Shane Seeley with the news. Shane.
Yes, Pearson, health officials have given the all clear to those two schools at the center of the COVID-19 scare last week. The Health Minister, Jeffrey Bostic, gave an update last evening.
I would have indicated that there was a primary contact and close contact of a positive case at the St. George Primary School. That contact would have had a negative test, first test, 5 to 6 days ago, and was awaiting the exit or screening test, which the result came back today, and that student is now negative, again, negative, and therefore cleared. So from a public health perspective, that school is cleared. The other student, which is from the Princess Margaret Secondary School, that was the positive case. The members of staff and students of the classes that we were targeting, they have all had negative tests today from their exit or screening tests, and they are also free and cleared to return to school. We will continue to provide any assistance to that school as well as needed, and if there are any persons for whatever reason who are desirous of having a test, we will facilitate that request.
Also speaking at that press briefing was the Education Minister, Santia Bradshaw, and she's announced plans for the continuation of the phased return of students for face-to-face classes from this week. In the primary schools, Class 2 and reception students will be back from tomorrow, May the 11th. Those in Class 1, Infants A and Infants B, are scheduled to return on Thursday. However, Minister Bradshaw notes some schools will have different arrangements. With regards to the secondary schools, Minister Bradshaw says 16 of the 21 principals have requested that face-to-face sessions be limited to exam classes due to the limited space at many compounds. Also, to allow those candidates to complete the respective modules. However, some secondary schools with smaller populations will be accepting more students from this week.
Two of our secondary schools, Darrell Jordan and Grantley Adams, have a smaller number of students, writing examinations, and they can therefore accommodate students from this Tuesday as well. Our second form and lower fifth forms at Darrell Jordan, and the first and the second form students will also be returning to the plant from Tuesday. Principals will inform the other forms when they will be allowed to return to the school plant. With respect to Form 4 students who are writing the CXC Mass examination at Queen's College, Christchurch Foundation School, and the Lodge School, those will be advised of their days to attend face-to-face this week by their principals.
And finally, a search resumes this morning for a young man missing at sea. He got into difficulties in the water at Brighton Beach, St. Michael last evening in the area known as the Hot Pot. Police say around 4:15 in the afternoon, a group of 5 young men went to the beach, and 2 of them were in the water swimming when one of them got into difficulties. Reports are that 21-year-old Javon Andre Jelani Moyes went under the water, and efforts by his friend to assist him were unsuccessful. The man disappeared but never resurfaced, and ambulance personnel were summoned to assist the friend, who complained of feeling unwell, having taken in a lot of water. He was treated at the scene and discharged by paramedics. And that's your 7 a.m. headline news. I'm Shane Seeley. Back over to you, Pearson.
Shane, thank you. It's 5 minutes after the hour. Don't forget to join us at 12 noon for another updated news, ZBC News Day. We're taking a break right here. When we come back, the crumbs question of the day.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
6 minutes now after 7 o'clock, time for today's Crumbs question of the day. Time for you to become a winner by calling us on 228-5562 or 228-5563 to answer correctly this question, our Crumbs question of the day. It is, where is crispy fried chicken heading to? Where is crispy fried chicken heading to? Do you know where's the next location? Where is crispy fried chicken heading to? Get on the phone now to call us on 228-5562 or 228-5563 to tell us where is crispy fried chicken heading to. If you get it right, you are a winner with crumbs today. Remember, crumbs, absolutely delicious right down to the very last crumb. So good luck to all of you. 7 after the hour now, let's turn our attention to this young man, a young Barbadian man who is doing phenomenal things. His name is Raphael Saul. Raphael, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, a wonderful good morning to you, Pearson, and good morning, Barbados. It's a pleasure to be spending some time with you.
Listen, we're all getting this energy from this time of the morning. Everybody seems to have had breakfast. I love it. A very good morning to you. I love that. You are clearly very motivated this morning.
Absolutely, as I am every morning, Pearson, although I must admit that Monday happens to be my favorite day of the week.
Really? No, for a lot of people, that's
Absolutely.
That's the worst day. So how is Monday your favorite day of the week?
I think that's something, Pearson, that we honestly have to audit. Many of us are having challenges getting motivated and fired up on Mondays because we're already starting the week discouraged about the thing we're going to spend the majority of our time doing. I just happen to be in a position where I get to spend the majority of my time doing something I love, I enjoy, and it fires me up. And so Monday really is the opening of the game, so to speak, as I'm getting ready to do another week of work that I absolutely love doing.
Now that predisposes that a lot of people don't like what they're doing. Am I correct in saying that?
It's a harsh reality, Pearson. I don't know if you can get away from that. The reality is persons are doing a lot of what they're doing out of duty and obligation and not out of passion and purpose. And that's something, again, as I said, we all have to audit. And it's something I know people will not necessarily always be in terms of a position, but persons can work towards it. I am one of those people that believes, work should not be a break from your enjoyment and fulfillment, but it really should be a continuation, even an enhancement of that. So the journey for everyone is going to be different. Persons may find that in different ways, in different places, in different spaces, yet it's something I believe that's worth pursuing.
So whose fault is that? Whose fault is it that we can't audit our own space adequately?
I don't know if there is a blame game to be played, except that I'll say this. Each of us has that unique responsibility to ensure that we are making the most of our lives, making the most of our time, our most valuable resource, and making the most of everything we have in our hands, our gifts, our talents, our potential. We have that responsibility. I'm not pointing fingers, Pearson. I'm not playing the blame game. All I'm saying is we all have that personal responsibility to make sure that we are owning our sense of fulfillment and satisfaction.
Raphael, where did all of this knowledge come from for you?
Yeah, I'd say, Pearson, that I really have been on over the last maybe 5 to 7 years. It really has been a journey of personal development and growth. Now, my background is a legal one. I'm an attorney at law by training. And so coming out of law school and starting in legal practice, I was sort of getting into the hamster wheel, at court every day, preparing my documents and so on, representing clients, doing that. But in the midst of all of that, Pearson, I felt as though there was still more to Raphael than just the attorney or more to Raphael than just legal counsel. And I opened myself up to a journey of self-discovery and growth, personal development. And that involved a lot of reading and watching lots of videos and so on, consuming a lot of content that was pushing me to examine the boundaries I had established around my own life, the boundaries I had established around my own career and professional pursuits. And I started challenging myself not to buy into the status quo, not to buy into the parameters that everyone said I needed to stay within. And that really motivated and inspired me to want to encourage others to do the same as well.
That's interesting because, you know, when one does one's self-discovery, it can scare you or it can inspire you, you know, and you chose instead to take the road of inspiration. So what do you say to that person today who stopped for a moment and thought, you know, he's right, but I'm so scared of taking the next step, or I'm so disgruntled with the decisions I may have made in my past? What do you say?
Here's what I'll say, Pearson. The best things in life are on the other side of fear. You take like somebody who jumps from airplanes, for example. There's that moment just before you leave the plane where there is this amazing sense of anxiety and worry and doubt that I make the right choice. Should I have got into this airplane in the first place? But the moment you take the leap, the moment you jump from that plane and you're looking around, you're able, first of all, to see a perspective and a view that you never saw before. And that's powerful because changing our perspective really can change our entire lives. And without knowing it, through jumping over that hurdle of fear, you've been able to access a new perspective. All of a sudden, the things around you start to look different. Circumstances that you thought were insurmountable now become possible. You can now see yourself making your way through those things because all of a sudden, you've changed your perspective. Not just that, but you've also changed possibility. So for a lot of people, there were things that they thought, for example, I'd never be able to do that. You know, I'll never be able to stand before a crowd and speak. I'll never be able to write my own song or music. I'll never be able to start my own business or my own family. I'll never be able to, you know, do something creative with my hands. The moment we jump over that hurdle of fear, Pearson, what we're able to access is not just new perspective, but we're also able to access new realms and new areas of possibility. And so one of the things I want to encourage people to do is don't rob your future by virtue of your past prejudices and your past perspectives. You've got to jump over fear. If you need to bulldoze through it, you've got to bulldoze through fear because there's so much amazing potential and possibility waiting for you on the other side of this. And I've often heard it said, Pearson, the thing that stands in the way must become the way. The exact thing that perhaps we're all hesitant about doing could be the thing that allows us to transition from good to great.
That's interesting. The thing that stands in the way could very well be, is probably the way. You know, you use the analogy of leaping from the plane, but you know, we have a safety net in a parachute. And so for a lot of us, before we make the decision, we want to ensure that there is a safety net. But a lot of the faith leaps that you're asking for, sometimes we can't see that safety net.
That's true. And again, Pearson, like I mentioned earlier, one of the key reasons why we often can't see that safety net is because of our perspective. So for us, I need to make sure that all of these boxes are checked and ticked before I make any kind of a major decision, because I don't want to make this decision and then something goes wrong. I'm often drawn to the analogy of the ship. If you've ever seen a cruise ship, Pearson, absolutely stunning, beautiful, amazing to look at when it's in port. If you happen to have the opportunity to cruise in one, mind-blowing. But the harbor is not where ships are made for.
True.
Ships are made for the high seas.
Yes.
You know, so it's going to look fine and pretty and well put together and well organized when it's in harbor. But we have to see our lives in similar fashion. We look great when we're in our comfort zone, but that's not where we're made for. We're made to be out there on the high seas. And it's in those environments we'll be surprised how much we can really thrive and succeed.
That is very true. I won't dispute that. Does it get easier or more difficult as one grows older, though? Because, you know, it's well and good you're a young man. We look at the TV, we say, he's a young fella, he can take those chances. But then when you look at me and the older folks, we say, who? At this stage? So we become a little bit hesitant about making those leaps of change.
Yeah, I'm a believer, Pearson, that you're never too old. You're absolutely never too old. As long as you have a day above ground, then you have enough time or opportunity to make the positive change you want to see in your life. Whether that be starting your exercise, health, and wellness journey at 50 plus, 60 plus, even though other persons in the gym might be a quarter of your age.
Yes.
We're not in a comparison exercise here. Pearson, that sounds like it might have been you, Pearson. It's okay. This is a no judgment space. You know, the people in the gym might have been a quarter of your years. But that aside, we're not in a comparison exercise here. Comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. Don't let what could have been in your younger years take away from what can be now, even in the sunset of your days.
Boy, you're waxing so lyrically and so beautifully this morning, you know. But then again, you come from a family that is strong on education, and I'm sure that would have played a part too in developing your character, who you are. So, you know, for those who are thinking, but what are you talking about, Pearson? Just set for them the example of who your family is.
Yes, so I come from a long lineage of educators. My mother, Dr. Patricia Saul, now retired, happily retired, beautifully retired, principal of the Urdeston Teachers Training College, but that's on the back of 40 plus years as an educator. My uncle, the late Matthew Farley, someone I love so much and respected so much and appreciated, again, 40 years, you know, as an educator. So I do have a very strong foundation. My dad was a financial advisor, now retired. But you know, if you know financial advisors, they never really retire. They're sort of always, they're going to always have skin in the game, right?
Yes.
But yeah, so I've come from a long lineage, a long history of persons who've been go-getters, who've not settled, and who've been determined to maximize their potential, whether it be formal academia or other types of formal training, or just exploring all that life has to offer. That is what I've seen around me, and that definitely has played a part in building a strong foundation for me to want to pursue the best that I can here in my life. Wow.
Raphael, it's such a pleasure talking to you this morning. And you're quite young. You're still in your 30s. You're still making a big difference. So have you been able to document any of this into something that we can take up and you know, use as our guide as we go?
It definitely is a work in progress. I've been given that admonition now, Pearson, by so many persons, and it's something I'm taking up. I want to be able to document it because at the end of the day, I believe the currency of success is heart counts. It's the number of persons whom I can impact positively. If I can leave a small deposit in someone person, I believe that my life achieves more and more significance and meaning. Not by the number of followers on Instagram or on Facebook or anything like that, but simply by walking down the street. As I tell people, if I can meet someone who's a complete stranger and they say, you know, I watched your video on Facebook, as has happened to me. I watched your video on Instagram or on YouTube. I've heard about something you've done or something you've said, and it's inspired me to become a better version of myself. That, Pearson, I think is the ultimate currency of success, and it is the bank account I want to continue to build in years to come.
All right, Raphael Saul, we're joining you on that journey. We're joining you on that journey. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. What an inspiring young man. And it just goes to show everyone that we have them living among us. We just need to be able to acknowledge them. So we acknowledge you this morning, Raphael Saul. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Pearson. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Likewise. Raphael Saul, boy, did you get it, everybody? Did you get it? I hope you got it. Take some time to think on it just a little bit. All right, let's see if we have a winner of today's Crumbs question of the day. Let's see if we do. That question is, where is crispy fried chicken heading to? Where is crispy fried chicken heading to? We have a winner. If you do have a winner, let's see the answer. Crispy fried chicken is heading to Speightstown. That's right, Speightstown, St. Peter. And congratulations to Harcourt Sobers. Harcourt Sobers, you are absolutely right. I wonder how you knew. Speightstown, St. Peter is heading there. That's crispy fried chicken. Harcourt, well done. Congratulations to you. And we want to let you know, Harcourt, someone from Crumbs Bakery will be contacting you to make arrangements with you to collect your winnings. So well done, Harcourt. And to you, Gail Skinner, thank you so much for calling. Have a great day. We're back after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Right, you know what's going on, right? Time for you to call to be a winner right now with the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados and their Childhood Obesity Prevention Quiz. That's right, in celebration of Child Month this year, the Heart and Stroke Foundation's Childhood Obesity Prevention Program is bringing greater awareness to good health and nutrition of our children. So you call me right now on 228-5562 or 228-5563. I'll give you the question and you get it right and you're good to go. Now we'll interact a little bit as well. So the question today is, in our quiz, what is the maximum recommended daily amount of sugar for a child? What is the maximum recommended daily amount of sugar for a child? Do you know? Let's see if you do. Hi there, good morning. Good morning. 228-5562 or 228-5563. What is the maximum recommended daily amount of sugar for a child? What is that, do you think? You get a chance to win this morning with the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados in their Childhood Obesity Prevention Quiz. You get a chance also to talk to me. So let's see, 228-5562 or 228-5563. Good morning, someone's there?
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good, what's your first name?
Destiny.
Destiny. Are you ready to answer the question, Destiny?
Yeah.
It determines your fate. So what's your answer, Destiny?
4 grams.
How many?
4.
4 teaspoons or 4 what?
4
bags
grams.
of sugar, 4 bags of sugar. What is it?
Grams.
I'm listening to you, Destiny.
4 grams.
What's your answer? 7 what? Destiny, no, I don't think you know the answer, but thank you for trying, Destiny. Thank you very much. Anyone can call 228-5562 or 228-5563. The answer is still waiting, lurking somewhere in the distance. The question is, what is the maximum recommended daily amount of sugar for a child? Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, first name, sir?
Kyle.
Kyle. Kyle, what's your answer?
45 grams.
45 grams? Can you put that in teaspoons for me? That is truth. I need to know. Sorry? So how many teaspoons can you get out of 45 grams of sugar? Possibly. Huh?
4?
Kyle, you're not sure. 4? No, Kyle. Thank you for trying there as well. Let's see if we can take another caller. 228-5562 or 228-5. Talk to me in teaspoons, okay? Talk to me in teaspoons, not in grams or pounds. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Let's see. Maximum recommended daily amount of sugar for a child. That's what I want to know. And I want the answer in teaspoons. Honestly, for real. It will make it so much easier for me. I don't do grams. I have no clue as to what that is in converting to teaspoons. So 228-5562 or 228-5563. What is the maximum recommended daily amount of sugar for a child? Let's see if you can figure this out. I know I can hear the crew in the back trying to figure this all out too. So what is the maximum recommended daily amount of sugar for a child? 228. Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, what's your first name?
My name is Shalom.
Your name is?
Shalom.
I would like you to speak a little bit slower for me if you don't mind. Your name is?
My name is Shalom.
Okay, okay, that word. What's your answer?
My answer is 24 grams.
25 grams? That equates to how many teaspoons? How many teaspoons? I want the answer in teaspoons. How many teaspoons do you think that is?
4?
5?
4?
I don't know. Don't ask me. But you're wrong. Thank you for trying. You're very close, but you're wrong. No. Come, people, we have to give this away. He didn't tell me that though, Sam. He said 5. And if he said 5, then he's not right. So come on, folks, 228-5562 or 228-5563. What's the maximum recommended daily amount of sugar for a child? Morning.
Good morning.
Hi, what's your first name?
Cheryl.
Cheryl. Cheryl, what's your answer?
I'm going to make a wild guess and say 6
I
or
would
7
laugh.
teaspoons.
No, give me one answer. One answer.
6 teaspoons.
You're sticking with that one? 6?
I think
Seriously?
So. Yes.
You're sticking with. Is that your final answer?
6 teaspoons, yes.
You're locking in that answer, Cheryl?
You're making me second guess myself.
No, I'm not making you do anything. I ask you a question. You're sure that's the answer you're holding on to, right?
Yes, please.
Cheryl, you don't want to think again?
7 then.
Cheryl, you're absolutely right. You're right. I'm just teasing you. So, Cheryl, you stay on the line, all right? You stay right there. Someone will take some information from you because you are today's winner. She's absolutely right. 6 teaspoons is the maximum recommended daily amount of sugar for a child, or as Sam would say, 25 grams. So 6 teaspoons. I wanted the answer in teaspoons. So there we go. So congratulations to you. Tomorrow, you get another chance to win with the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Barbados. A break, and then we come back more.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 7:30 in Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. So happy to see this face yet again. Brittany Seeley, the founder and leader, really, of Work Consultancy, Inc. Brittany, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson. I'm happy to be back. How are you doing?
You know, I'm well. It's been such a long time. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy birthday, all wrapped up in one. It's been a while for real. I missed you, but it's good to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be back as well.
Thank you for coming back for real. Let's take a look at some of those interesting job hunting tips that you're so great at sharing with us this morning. Where are we going to start today?
Yes. So today we're talking about how to stay safe while job hunting. And in the past, many persons would have checked the newspaper for vacancies, but now that the world has become a lot more virtual, you have to be even more careful. And we're a digital company, so cybersecurity is big for us. So when we job hunt for clients, we also have to ensure that they remain as safe as possible. And really and truly, when you think about it, persons disclose a lot of information on their CVs or resumes, their full name, contact information, address. Some persons even put their ages. So you need to ensure that you're as safe as possible when you're job hunting.
So how do we do that? First of all, how do we ensure that the job that we're going after is legit and it's not something online that someone had fabricated just to get our information? And then how do we ensure that our information as well is secured?
Yeah, so the first thing you do is to ensure you recognize the company. And if you do, that's good because it makes the process a lot more easier. You just want to verify that when you actually start to apply, if it's an online application, the process isn't intrusive, meaning they're not asking for your banking information or anything crazy. And if you are sending in or emailing the application, you want to ensure the email address is legitimate. That is if you recognize the name of the company.
If I do not
However,
recognize the name,
if you don't recognize the name, then you should immediately become a bit more skeptical, because now you're going into uncharted territories. You would have never heard about the company before. However, the vacancy seems interesting, so you want to do a bit more research. So then we're going to go ahead to step number 2, which is to check your location. So if it's an in-person role, you want to ensure the vacancy is based in Barbados if you're looking for a local role, or if you're planning to relocate, it is in the country that you originally envisaged. However, if it's a remote position, you want to confirm that it's indeed fully remote and the position is open internationally. Because what we've found is when job hunting for clients, you may think a role is remote and fully international. However, it may be only open to US citizens or persons in the EU, China, that kind of thing. So you want to ensure that you actually can apply and receive the vacancy.
good idea, good reminder for real, because you assume because it's online that anyone has access to it, but not everyone necessarily has access to it. So check to see whether or not where I am based actually fits what the company is looking for. Good job.
Yes.
Good tip.
For sure.
What's the next step?
The next thing is to verify the company on Google. Now, everyone has access to Google, whether on their phones or on their laptops, tablets. So if you're still not sure about the company, you want to do a quick Google search. What do you find about the company? And during this day and age, everyone really should have a social media presence. And if they don't, I would even say be a bit skeptical about that. They should at least have an Instagram page, a Facebook page. You know, even if they don't have LinkedIn or YouTube or anything else, you should be able to find something about them online. And this would help you confirm the legitimacy of the company when you go ahead and read those reports. So for example, have they ever put an article in the paper? Have they ever been featured online? That kind of thing.
But you know, some people are very good at crafting that, you know, setting their own picture the way they want it done, and it's not necessarily legit. So would it be advisable to consult somebody who is good at being able to detect whether it is fraudulent or not?
Yes, for sure. So if you can, it would be good to consult consultancies, let them add another eye to the job hunt. However, if you can't afford it, because I do understand the position, you may want to ask a friend to take a look. What do you think about this job vacancy? Does it seem legitimate? Do you see any red flags? So always having an extra eye is key as well.
Good. And the next step.
Oh, I would want to say though, before we move on, that if you are looking to apply remotely, you would want to check out some reviews, because there are some really good international sites like Glassdoor and that kind of thing, which actually allows employees or contractors to leave reviews about working at the company. So if you're looking to work on an international scale, you want to hear what other persons have to say as well. How is the job culture? How is the pay? How is it actually working for the company? So that would be another step of research that I would encourage persons to do.
That's true. Some of the standards and the ethics by which they work too will be critical, whether they align nicely with what we stand for too. Great advice.
Exactly.
So where are you taking me to next?
So the final step, is if it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. And that is plain and simple. Sometimes you're job hunting and it's like, I don't know about this vacancy. You would have done research. It still doesn't feel right. And really and truly, if you don't get that one, another one will come by. So do not put yourself in a position where you feel uncomfortable. If the application process is intrusive, don't go ahead providing that information. Again, it is your comfort level, because ultimately you would have to work for the company. So really think about it. Do I want to spend the next couple of months or the next couple of years at this company, which already makes me feel uncomfortable in the application process?
Brilliant. So true. You know, and it's not just by what they're asking for, but there's something in your gut that tells you this isn't quite right. Listen to that voice, that little voice of instinct that tells you something isn't quite right, and pay attention to that as well. And sometimes it could mean do a little further research, because, you know, you might have seen something that caused you pause, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you necessarily are holding yourself back. Just do some checking. And if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't fit. at all. So great on that one. But of course, we can also call you, Brittany, and say, Brittany, I want some help. Help me sort this one out. Guide me on this process. Guide me on this thing as well. That's what you offer as well as a service by Works Consultancy?
Yes. Yes. So we do offer persons the opportunity to have personalized job hunting where we go through and do this whole process for them, ensure they're safe, but also ensure they're quality employees as well. Because as the job market is so saturated, you want to ensure you stand out to get a job that you absolutely love.
So true. And then, of course, the security of my information, because, you know, we sometimes we can become so eager. We just place everything out and hope that that is enough to catch somebody's attention. But your recommendation is to do what?
So instead of putting everything on the CV, consider really what is necessary. So for example, do you really need to put your age or your birth date? Because then it leads to ageism possibly. Who is to say that a 45-year-old can't do the role as well as a 25-year-old? So in that instance, I really don't think that information is appropriate. Neither do I think it is necessary. But you can go ahead, you can list your skills, you can list your qualifications, you can have a nice profile on why you should be selected as a key candidate. Then when you get into the interview room and the person wants to ask a bit more questions, then you can go ahead and provide answers that you are comfortable with.
Don't give too much up front, folks. You might find yourself in trouble. That's my bottom line there for me, for real. So Brittany Seeley, co-founder and CEO of Works Consultancy, Inc. For anyone watching this morning who wants to call you right now to get on to talk some more about this, what number can they call?
They can call 825-6384.
825-6384.
6384. Or they can send us an email at bb@theworkservice.com.
Send that to me. We'll post it on our Facebook page. That's a lot of information right there. And we'll sort that out for you. So Brittany, as usual, thank you so much for coming back. It's good. And I'm sure we want to take this on again next week if you don't mind. And we'll see where we go in offering some great advice to folks. Thank you so much, Brittany.
No problem. Take care.
She's such a delight. Brittany Seeley, the founder and CEO of Works Consultancy, Inc. Give her a call on 836-6384, 825-6384. Work Consultancy, Inc. A break, and when we come back, that lady who wrote that book, Birth of the Underwater Child, she'll be with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Well, the book says to be transformed from a fatherless daughter to a virtuous woman, you've got to spend a lot of time working on your heart. That's the words of Joy Carter. Good morning to Joy. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Pearson, and good morning to all the Barbados viewers.
How were the pancakes with the syrup? Gotcha.
They were awesome.
That's good. Now let's talk a little bit about this, because you're Barbadian, you're living afar, and you've written this outstanding novel. I think it's so interesting, the title, Birth of the Underwater Child, Transforming Fatherless Daughters into Virtuous Women. Why did you pen this?
Well, it's really a documentation of my fatherless daughter journey. And just to clear the air, I have a wonderful father. And throughout the book, I really wanted to deconstruct the concept of a fatherless daughter, because in my research, it's normally explained or defined to be the absence of a father. And that's not only a fatherless daughter's experience. I believe that we are multi-level or multi-layer beings. So we, yes, are physical, but there's the intellectual, there's the emotional side of us, also the spiritual side. And you can have the absence of a father at one of those levels as well, which is necessarily not always the fault of a parent, the parent-child relationship, but it's part of life. It's part of the dynamic of being here to do work, in this lifetime. So I really penned it because this was my journey, and I've been documenting my own transformation and healing process for about 10 years.
Wow. I'm trying to understand, because I've had my parents, both of them, right through my life, so I understand what it means to have them there, but I don't understand what it means not to have them there. And so help me understand what that means, first of all, when they're not there.
So what do you mean, when they're not there physically, or
physically
when they're
or
not
emotionally,
there?
they're just not connected in some way?
Well, we all have needs as human beings, and sometimes those needs can't be fulfilled for some reason, maybe not really the fault of a parent. Let's say it's difficult being an adult and then having children as well on top of that. A parent has to be the provider, they have to be so many different things. And it may not be intentionally, it may not be their intention to not be present for their child. It may be in an emotional situation or circumstance, which could cause trauma to be imprinted on the child. It's not the parent's intention, but it still occurs. It's just part of our human development. And that trauma is stored on what I like to refer to as our hardware system. So when we go through life, there are things that will trigger that. And we create life from our hardware system. So we will be creating life from the trauma that's stored there. So the fatherless journey or transformation that I'm referring to in the book is really to help us to store that trauma on, let's say, a cloud, Google Drive or iCloud or something like that, so we don't create our lives from traumatic experiences.
Have you found that to work for you, though?
I have. I have. I've been through the process. I didn't just write it because it's not just, for me, it wasn't an intellectual topic. It's really experiential. So it was my experience that I documented.
You asked the question, what does love mean to becoming a virtuous woman? Because that's really what it's all about. So when you talk about describing a woman in that kind of way as a virtuous woman, who are you describing? What are you describing?
Actually, I didn't give a description, and I did that for purpose. I wanted to keep that concept open, and I did define a virtuous woman in the book, just who you already are. So I just want people to, or readers or women, to know that you are this already. There's nothing that you're not trying to change yourself, but you're trying to unlearn some things. You're trying to go through a process of unlearning. And it's not necessarily that I know virtuous woman, it's found in the Bible, and so it is a biblical term, but I just kept that open for a person. I don't want to tell a person who they are. They must know who they are. So virtuous woman is who you already are. It's your true divine nature. It's your truth.
The book is called Birth of the Underwater Child. Underwater Child. What does that, why that name? Why that title?
So I actually drew inspiration from that, from myself, because I'm drawn to water. I love the ocean. I love going to the spring. Any body of water, you'll find me there.
Yes.
And underwater also, I digged a little bit deeper with the concept, because when we're in the womb, before we are birthed, to have all of these different life experiences, like I said, some will be good, some will be bad. But when we're in the womb, it's like that's the truth. That's our truth right there. We are who we are, and without any imprints from life experiences, and in the womb we're surrounded by water. So it's like you're returning to your true nature, where you come from.
In the book, you say, some say forgiveness is not in the other person, it's for you. Forgiveness is an act of self-love, and rooted in it is the powerful act of surrender. Now, those are powerful words. Forgiveness. A lot of times we struggle as individuals with having been hurt, finding that space to forgive. How did you deal with that? And how did this book help you in that process of forgiveness?
Well, forgiveness, yes, like as you said, it is a process, and it takes a lot of time, and the first step really in it is to be able to accept the role that you've participated in, whatever experience or circumstance, or if it's a relationship, just the role that you participated there that would have caused something to occur that requires the need for forgiveness. And in the book, I really try to explain, and because from my experience is that my true understanding of forgiveness came when I accepted responsibility. It wasn't about blaming another or shaming another. It was, what's the role that I played? How did I participate in this situation or horrible experience? And what can I do about it? I realized that I needed to accept, and then the natural process of forgiveness unfolds by itself.
Wow, that's powerful too. So the book is called Birth of the Underwater Child, Transforming Fatherless Daughters into Virtuous Women. How can we access copies of this great truths of yours written in this book?
So the book is available for Barbados residents. It is available on Amazon.com. There's the Kindle format. There's also the paperback format, and it's also available on Google Play, the ebook. And I'd like all of you to know that the 10% of the proceeds of the ebook sales will be donated to the Niata Foundation, which is the Made It Against the Odds Foundation. It's a Barbados charity founded by Tamika Newton, and it helps individuals with any challenges that they may be experiencing, whether it be financial. They make donations for clothing, food supplies, monetary donations, you name it. Also, there will be a supplier available in Barbados, hopefully by the end of June, with paperback editions of the book, and Barbadians can complete the pre-order form. You can find it on my Instagram page, which is at @JOIE_DESTA, DESTA. And once they complete the pre-order form, I'll contact them, or someone will contact them on my behalf, and I'll let them know when they will be able to receive their paperback edition. And it will also, they have the option that they can have it autographed by
brilliant.
me.
JOIE_DESTA, DESTA on Instagram. You can pre-order right there, right now, have it autographed by the author herself, Joy Carter, but then you call yourself, as a novelist, Joy Desta. Why that name, Joy Desta?
Well, Desta means joy in Ethiopian. So I grew up with my family calling me Joy Joy. So it's really just my name, but the French and the Ethiopian.
Thank you, Joy, for joining us this morning. All the best with this novel. I think it's going to be fantastic. The Birth of the Underwater Child, Transforming Fatherless Daughters into Virtuous Women. What a good read it will be for those of you who go ahead and you pre-order JOIE_DESTA on Instagram, and hurry up and get your autographed copy as soon as possible. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Bye-bye. All right, we'll take a break right here. When we come back, we're going to look at some of those things that you have in your garden, your herbs, and how we can make some really delicious teas out of that with our girl, Chantel, after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
You know, time goes so very quickly in the morning. Chantal, good morning to you. We only have about 5 minutes today to look at some of those common herbal teas we can get from our things we grow in our garden. Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning, Pearson.
Right.
I do have a few things that are very common that I wanted to point out. I was going to do an elixir, but we can do it next week. So leaf of life or wonder of the world is a very common one that you can use. And this here has traditionally been used for coughs and colds. You can combine this well with a little sea salt or lime juice to make a great tea. And blue vervain is another good one that you can find in most gardens. This one has a little purpley bluish leaf that comes out on the stamen. And this is really good for anxiety, traditionally used for anxiety. Blue butterfly pea flower is also used for anxiety. This is flowering right now.
Oh, I see that around the place, yeah.
Yeah.
And it grows almost in the wild.
Well.
Okay.
Yes, it does. That really does. And the other one that is extremely popular is soursop leaf.
Oh, you can't go wrong.
So, no, you can't go wrong with this. And it's very good to have it in the evening times because it's very good to help you sleep.
It's good for relaxing,
That's
calming you down. And so these are all of these herbs that we have growing all around us in abundance. All we need to do is to find out how to make the tea from them, though, however. We don't want to poison ourselves. So let's talk a little bit about some of those. Give me the demonstration.
So I have a teapot here with some herbs in it. So there are two different ways of doing it. You're steeping your leaves. So leaves are very, they just need to be bruised. So you can take the leaf of life, for example, and once you bruise it, it is easier for the hot water to get in there and pull out the constituents of the leaf itself. And then you take it and put it in a teapot with a lid for about 5 to 7 minutes. You're using about 3 to 4 of these to a cup of water, 3 or 4 leaves.
Right.
And make sure the leaves are as dark as possible so that they have as much nutrients and chlorophyll that you can get from the leaf itself. So the darker it is, like how dark these ones are, these ones are pretty dark for this particular leaf as well. And once you put them in, you bruise them first, you put in boiling water, and you steep it for 5 to 7 minutes with a cover on top to keep in that heat. And once you do that, you strain it off, and you have yourself a wonderful cup of tea that now you can add any sweetener or a little bit of coconut milk or so on to. But I was going to build an elixir for you, which will take a little more time. But you start off with the tea. So since we did this one first, we will show the tea, and then we will build on that to make a really nutritious drink next week.
It's so simple, you know, and all of these leaves we'll find all around us. So we just bruise them somewhat, have them seep into the hot water, and let it cool for about 5-7 minutes. And then you're good to go. You just sweeten with your preferred sweetener.
Yeah, you let it steep for 5 to 7 minutes. And once it's steeping, it is pulling out or drawing out those constituents from within the plant medicine.
Right. That sounds so easy, and it sounds as if it's going to be something we can all try today. I'm sure a lot of people are going to try it with the soursop. That's easy to do, and that's in plentiful supply all the time. So we'll try that one first, and then we'll see how it goes. But that purple leaf that you talked about that grows in the wild, that also looks as if it's going to be an interesting one.
Yes, it is. It is an interesting one, and we're going to use it to build a beautiful elixir next week.
All right, so that's the plan. Hold it to that one, Chantal. Thank you so much, as usual, for inspiring us on a Monday morning. You too. Thank you very much, Chantal. Selman. Now, let's take a look at something interesting. On last Friday, you know, we gave something away to one of you for Mother's Day. And so she's a nurse all winner, Cheryl Minard. She couldn't get to us, so we went to her. Take a look. We got that ready, guys? So she couldn't get to us, we went to her. But as we get that ready, let me just say, first of all, today is the birthday of our Chief Executive Officer, Sanka Price. Sanka, Good morning to you, sir. Happy birthday to you today, coming from the entire staff of us here at the CBC. We hope you have a lovely birthday today, sir. So there she is, Sharon Minard.
Decided since you could not get here, we're coming to you.
No problem, you found me.
Yes. So congratulations. We're going to get a nice pic, though. So, Carol, you get it.
There you go. So that was the presentation made by our girl, Carol Moore, and Diane Fort. They went out from our marketing team to reward her with that. So well done. Congratulations to all. Happy birthday, Sanka, as well. That's it for today, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.